Hello, everyone. This is Hannah, evolutionary astrologer, and today I want to chat with you about Mars moving into the sign of Libra. And Mars is the warrior of the zodiac, right? While Libra is the peacemaker, Libra is the diplomat. So, how does this energy, how does the warrior come together with the diplomat? This is what we want to talk about. So, Mars is starting this cycle in the sign of Libra and really kicking off under a very tense opposition to Saturn and to Neptune in Aries. So, if you haven't yet watched my deep dive video, on what this means and how to navigate potential risks, please check out the link below. It's really useful. It's definitely a time where we are dealing with more contentious and volatile energy. So it's a time to be extra careful. It's a time to minimize risks and really to be cautious. So if you haven't watched that yet, please do. It's in the links. Um, and the other two dates that I want you to pay attention to during this Mars and Libra cycle is around September 16th. So this is a time when Mars will oppose Chiron in Aries. So it's a time that can trigger more wounds and just emotional triggers of all kinds. So a lot of this higher potential for these emotional triggers to surface. Either you are getting triggered or people in your life are getting triggered, especially relationships. Like this relationship arena is really activated right now because Libra is the sign that represents our relationships, our partnerships, and this means our love life. This also means our business partnerships. So anyone that we're coming together with, this is where this all is getting more activated. And so, around September 16th is important to you to, really pay attention to and to be extra cautious. And also late September, so around September 22nd, 23rd, and so forth, because Mars will start to square Pluto and Aquarius. So that's a 90-degree angle between Mars and Pluto. And whenever these two come together, they can spark tensions, around justice, power dynamics, our relationships, our friendships. Libra's relationships and Aquarius is our friendships, our community. So again, another time to be extra mindful. But let's talk about Mars in Libra. What is Mars in Libra about? Because through Mars, we fight. But Libra is all about peace. So it's a time to fight for peace, right? It's really asking us like how can we be assertive but also fair, just. And I think a really good way to kind of explain this energy in a good symbolism here is the warrior who negotiates. Because the opposite, which is Mars and Aries, right? So Aries and Libra, they oppose each other. They form an axis. They're polar opposites. So that means that they need each other. They complement each other. But Mars and Aries is all about I'm gonna do it by myself. It charges ahead solo. While Mars in Libra brings in the knowing that we need each other. I need you. And this is beyond romance. This is actually about survival. So it understands Mars in Libra. It's a time where we understand deep down that in order for us to thrive, we need alliances. We need to join forces with others. And there's this understanding as well that if you fall, I will too. We need to make sure that everybody wins or no one really wins. So there's a strategic power here in coming together in team effort, right? So what's the fuel of Mars in Libra? It's all about justice, it's all about equality, it's all about fairness. And at its best, it's a time where we can feel empowered through coming together with others, through partnerships, to cooperation, to co-creation. And it's a time where we can also see a lot of people fighting for other people because it's really coming from that space within that understands that by saving you, I save myself, and how we are really all connected. But it's also negotiating the balance. So this is a theme that can come up over and over again during this time, and you can see this in your relationships of all kinds, where you really try to find the balance. Because if I give you too much, then I'm risking being left with nothing. But if I take it all, then you'll be left with nothing, and then we both lose. So it's this tightrope game and walk between how much to assert myself and how much to accommodate the other party, the other person involved. So in a lot of the strategy here, a lot of the connections and the relationships, they're really about complementary forces. So it's about connecting with other people that bring things that we don't already have. So the things that I'm not. For example, I'm an astrologer, but I need people to help me figure things out. For example, technologically speaking, or to bring tools that I don't have yet. So again, it's joining forces in an also strategic way that can really bring, balance through contrast. So it's not just about bringing people who are like me, bringing more astrologers, but people who are different than me, who bring things to the table that I don't have. So again, it brings the need to compromise. It brings the need to find win-win solutions and to collaborate, right? So that's absolutely the mode of operation while Mars is in Libra. But what is the risk? The risk is, first of all, people who are refusing to compromise. So there's a lot you can perceive a lot of unfairness in relationships where maybe you're the one who always needs to give in, right? Or when you're the one who's refusing to compromise and the other person is perceiving the relationship to be unfair. So there can be so much resentment in Mars and Libra peacemaking qualities that we need to be very careful as we're all going through this transit, because the resentment comes from overgiving, over compromising, which at the end can trigger anger, frustration, even burnout, where you're overdoing. Like the other person is not doing their part and you have to do their part for them. So this can be, not just in your love life and your relationships, but any relationship. This could be happening at work. This could be happening within the family unit. But the the we all need to be careful not to be overdoing, over compromising. So expect more discussions, more debates, within our relationships, possible breakups, because the intention is this need to stand up for your needs, but also bring in other people's needs. Listening, that's Libra's best quality, is the capacity to listen, to take in other people's information, other people's perspective. So the intention is to seek mutual satisfaction, right? Where both people can show up, both people can speak their truth, be honest about things, show up with their wants and their needs and their truth, but also make space for others and meet others halfway. So, at its best, this is conscious, fair, and functional alliances and healing anything that's preventing the alliance, the partnership, the relationship to be that way. So again, the intention is if we both win, our strength multiplies. We get stronger, we get better. So that's what I want to suggest is action through collaboration over competition, right? So move forward together. Uh, if there is conflict, if there's something bubbling up, if there's something that's bothering you, talk about it, be assertive. bring it to the table, but also be like the diplomat. Choose your words carefully, seek middle ground, seek ways to work together. And also pay attention for indecision, passive aggression, right? Where maybe instead of bringing whatever needs to be brought to the table, instead of doing that, you could be avoiding conflict for the sake of peace, for the sake of not starting trouble, knowing that it's going to become a fight. So that can also be that can lead to a lot of resentment, anger, frustration, inflammation. You know, this could affect your sleep. This could affect your inner peace, where you're not expressing your truth, you're keeping it hidden in order to keep the peace, but really outside it looks like it's peaceful, but inside there's a war happening. So be extra, extra mindful of that. So the intention again is how do you assert yourself with others, not against them? And how can you fight for fairness instead of dominance, but fight in a way that brings the diplomacy? And can you find strength in collaborating with others, right? So again, it's this dance between assertiveness and diplomacy, action and movement. It's, you know, Libra is the scales. So it's weighting things, it's weighting every decision and every step, which can also slow this Mars down a little bit because Mars is very much about initiation, going, making things happen. So during Mars and Libra times, we can also feel more indecisive. We are more analytical. We're trying to weight every decision to see what's the best way, what is the best route, which can also bring a lot of frustration to other people because they, you know, they're wanting to know what are we gonna do? What are we gonna have for dinner? Well, we could have Chinese, we could have Japanese, um, we can have French, we can have Italian. So yes, it's important to take the time to wait. That's very much part of the diplomat, right? It's going to first of all take a look and wait every decision and see what the next best move is, but also be careful not to let this become um, to a point where you don't get things done, right? Um, and again, be extra mindful around anything that relates to justice and fairness because, and this is something that we can see very much in our world, which is because Libra is all about justice and fairness. So Mars here can really energize causes related to social justice, to equality, to some sort of, you know, ethnical reform. What is the right thing? And in ways that can be more tactfully than aggressively. Um, Mars also speaks about our weapons, and Mars in Libra times we can all become the ultimate negotiators. So we can use charm, persuasion, social finesse to get what we want, to get what we need, rather than force, rather than dominance, right? So this transit can also boost our ability to influence, to inspire cooperation, especially when there is tension, especially when there's things happening that, you know, bring a little bit of intensity. Um, and this is also a time that I also want to suggest, you know, taking action with others. So anything around group activities, social activism, any sort of collective effort that can feel very energizing. So it's a little less about solo missions and more about collaborative movement, right? And Libra is also aesthetics and beauty, right? So this can also be a time where you can beautify your surroundings and improve your style and engage in creative projects. So, you know, it's a time where you can bring more harmony, balance, beauty into your life in whatever way, shape, or form. And again, one last time, I'm going to say this because it's so important. Remember that because Mars, the planet Mars is the rhythm. Its rhythm is fast, while Libra has a much slower rhythm. It's checking, it's trying to look for balance. There can be this push and pull that tires you out mentally and physically. So it's like I take action and then I hesitate, then I come back, then I have to wait every single action possible. And I don't know if I should take a step or not. So there can be a lot of this back and forth here. So avoid overcommitting, and but also do take action, do initiate and set things forward, but do not sacrifice your needs just to keep the harmony and the peace around you. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please do. And let me know where this Mars in Libra is transiting your natal chart. Of course, that's going to be the areas that will be most activated for you. And I hope this has been useful. I will see you next time.